Welcome to Healthy Lifestyle with Lorianne. I am Lorianne Casdia. Our goal here at Healthy Lifestyle is to inspire, educate, and empower you to fulfill a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life so you can feel empowered to live the life you have always wanted and dreamed. Welcome to the show. I hope you're having a beautiful day, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening. We're here to help give you some information, light you up, inspire you, give you some verbal caffeine, and get you on your way so that you take steps and take actions to get where you want to be. With that said, today on our show, we are happy to have Xavier Cano, and he is the president of Xavier Cano Coaching. And for the last 20 years, Xavier has been coaching individuals and groups on professional development and peak performance topics, and currently shows organizations and groups how to optimize performance, efficiency, and culture. We have a lot to talk about, Xavier. Through his motto, Unblock Your Power, Xavier shows others how to achieve success. One has only to search and unblock the greatness that is already there. Oh my gosh. Welcome to the show, Xavier.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have you here. So you say something that I say all the time. All our success codes are already inside. And so unblocking the blocks is what's holding us back. Blocks hold us back from achieving our greatness. And that is within our head or infused from other people to us, thoughts we keep thinking over and over again that turn into beliefs about ourselves. And a lot of that happens, statistically speaking, between the ages of 2 and 12. And that's when a lot of these things come in, where somebody said something that just stuck with us and we started to believe it. So I love that you're here. I just want to jump right in because I wrote a book called Women Who Dream, and I had a chapter called 2 Choices. And the 2 choices are do it or don't do it, stuck or unstuck. So let's talk about unstuck. Is there a framework that you use to help people become unstuck?
Absolutely. So I have learned that it's possible that there could be a certain point in one's life where they feel like they're stuck, where they feel that their career is not moving in the direction that it should. They feel like they're stuck in their salary. They just cannot get that promotion. And it even goes as far as relationships, right? And so relationships, whether it's with a partner, whether it's with a family member, whether it's with a friend, there is something that's just not moving. And so I've come up with a framework on how to help people become unstuck, and it involves the following. I tell my clients that if you are feeling stuck, it is typically because of one and or of the following reasons. Number one, you're choosing to believe something about yourself and or somebody else and or a situation that just is not true. Now, like you said, it is so embedded in your mind that you wholeheartedly believe that it is true, and the truth is that it is not, all right? And so for that reason, many people get stuck. The second reason that I have found within this framework is that there is some type of negative emotion. There is a negative emotion that may have come from childhood, may have come from later in life, that is negative in nature and it hasn't been dealt with. It can be an emotion that you know what it is, or it could be one that's within your subconscious mind that you have forgotten about, or maybe you have hidden it without knowing it, right? And so typically there comes a point in one's life where if they feel like they're stuck, it could be because that emotion needs to come out. It needs to be acknowledged. It needs to be resolved. And then finally, the third reason is that you're not being 100% clear about what it is that you want, right? And so I tell my clients that when you're 99% sure about what you want, it's the same thing as not being sure what you want, because you're either sure or you're not. You've either made a decision or you have not. But it's interesting when this happens. Sometimes it's typically because you may not have the information that you need to make a solid decision, but it can even go as far as sometimes you're choosing not to pursue what you really want because maybe you're being influenced by somebody else. Maybe somebody's telling you, no, I don't think you should do that. I know that you've been speaking about this thing that you want to do, this thing that you're passionate about, but I don't think that's for you. It could come from a parent. It could come from somebody else, but that keeps you from pursuing what you want instead of focusing on other things that in essence make you not 100% sure. And therefore you haven't made a decision.
Yeah.
And so typically,
go ahead.
Yes. Well, and so typically that's the framework. Those three things. When I work with clients, we take a look at: are you making a decision about yourself, somebody else, or a situation that isn't true? Is there a negative emotion in nature that you haven't dealt with? Or number three, it's actually or number three, are you not being 100% clear about what you want and why?
Yeah, because universe is very clear. If you give them a clear statement, universe has to, by the law of attraction, has to deliver what you're asking for. So if you ask for more money, it'll give you $1 more, and they delivered. But so if you're very clear and precise and you feel it using all your emotions, it will come true and you will manifest quickly. I'm sure you know people, my brother's like this. He thinks of something and poof, it's there. He just manifests wickedly fast because he believes it to his cells, to the soul, to the bottom of his soul, that it's happening. And it does happen. He's able to make that happen. There is a couple of things that you said, the things that aren't coming up that you're keeping pushed down. What comes up comes out. And once you get it out, it no longer exists. And then you can make a choice. So it comes back to awareness. Once we're aware, then we can make a choice. And being stuck is a choice. I know one of my great magnitude of pivots, it was my great opportunity to change the direction of my life. And I chose it and I took it. And from great tragedy or challenges comes that great opportunity, right? One of the things is I stayed stuck for a while there. I was stuck and wallowing and sitting there and that's okay, because that's where I needed to be. I learned a lot of tools while I was in my little wallow and having my pity poor me party, right? But then I got bored and I chose to become unstuck, and it's a choice, right? And what you're talking about are choices. We need to become aware of what's going on, make these choices and move on. And I loved what you said about, not really embracing it, not identifying it, not understanding where it is, because our bodies have no time zone. Time is something that humans have we've really conjured up, right? But our bodies don't know the difference of what happened when we were 2 and what happened today. It can't tell time. So until we deal with it, it stays on a cellular level and it stays in our vibration. So it's always that block that's there that you're working through. So one of the things that do you do to help them through these processes, the questions that they have once they start giving you the answers? If they can find it out, like, how do you help them get to the point where they know what it is? Because sometimes, like, I knew there was something, but I didn't know what it was. I was like, I don't have any blocks. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I did.
It's interesting because what I typically do is I start asking them questions that revolve around those three areas. And so what I tell my clients is that we're going to look for it. We're going to look for what is happening. And typically there is some type of decision that was made sometime in life. It could have been at age 3, 5, it could have been at age 50, right? But what I tell them is that there is a decision that we're looking for that is contributing to one of these three areas. And so it's almost like a scavenger hunt. And so I start asking them questions, when did you feel this first start happening? Do you feel that you have an emotion that you haven't dealt with? Tell me about this, tell me about that. And so every single person is unique. And so when they have the opportunity to tell me a little bit about their story, then I start honing in on some of the words that they might be using, right? And so, for example, I was working with a client recently where her story is that she was adopted. But the interesting thing is that there was something in her life that she was trying to deal with. And as we were talking, she kept saying that her biological mom didn't want her. Her biological mom didn't want her. Her biological mom didn't want her. And I asked her, how do you know that she didn't want you? Right. And then she started thinking about it and said, well, I mean, that's what I assumed, given that she gave me out for adoption. And so I quickly asked her, well, could it be that your mom had a choice? I mean, she could have aborted you, right? She had that choice and she chose not to do that. She chose to give you a better life. She showed her love by giving you that better life. Is that something that you should take into consideration? And as she started to think through it, she said to herself, wow, I just realized that it's not so much that she didn't want me, is that she wanted to give me the best life that she couldn't give me. And that in itself is the best reflection of love that there is.
Oh, and yes.
And so that changed the emotion.
Well, you changed the lens. You change it. Yeah. I say this all the time. We got to change your lens on how you look at it. And that does change the emotion. I'm sure when she was talking about it with this new look on life, she changed her lens, and her body probably changed, her whole, how she held herself changed.
Oh, everything
Her look
changed.
on her face, she probably became younger and less stressed out, and that changes every other belief she has now, doesn't it?
It's like a trickle down effect,
Yeah.
where you remove that. So what I tell people is that it's like a tree, right? So you have the roots, which represent like these fundamental decisions that you've made that have now created this trunk and these branches of other sub decisions that do not necessarily serve you. But when you get in there and uproot the tree and get rid of these roots, you've gotten rid of all of that.
Yeah.
And that's why people are able to improve so quickly when they work with me, because we're looking for the root cause.
Sure. That's why, I work with people as well, and we do mindset work just like you're doing. And when you see them have that aha moment, that shift is magnificent. How does that make you feel when you see your clients do that?
It makes me feel satisfied knowing that I am living that part of my life purpose. Right. And so I'm here to serve. I'm here to help people get out of these situations. I was once there at some point. And so when that happens, it feels great knowing that I have served that part of me that I'm here to do.
Yeah. So it's clear that you had a pivot in your life that took you down the road to bring you here. And I find, for me, tell me if this doesn't resonate with you, at those pivot moments, those are the moments that I got clearer and clearer on why I was here, to serve and to do things just like this, to help other people not have to jump the same hurdles we had to jump. So, and we definitely serve our former selves. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I absolutely would. And it's an opportunity for reflection. It's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity to learn something new. It's an opportunity to be able to share that wisdom with other people so that other people can have better lives as well. And so it's almost like, as we're going through these experiences that might not be comfortable, we grow, but then we can use that wisdom to allow other people to grow as well.
Yeah. Have you ever found yourself giving some advice or giving some information, some wisdom to someone else, and realized it was really meant for you?
Absolutely.
Isn't that the coolest thing when that happens? I'm like, wait, that might be for me. It might be for both of us, but I think it might be for me too. It's a really cool thing when that happens, right?
Absolutely. I feel like we're all connected, and there have been many times where I've delivered a message based on what I'm seeing and feeling and observing, and then I realize, wow, like this message is also for me too, and I'm able to improve on this piece of my life based on what I just shared. So
yeah, and I love that, because it definitely connects us back to source, your higher power, God, source, universe, however you refer to your higher power. So I'm a spiritual being, and the work that I do is very spiritual. Are you spiritual too, as well? Because I'm hearing the languaging of someone who's spiritual.
the interesting thing is that I would say that I was not always spiritual until I went through a time period of extreme stress. And this was a time period where there was a lot of concepts I did not understand around stress and the connection between stress and health issues. There was a lot of concepts around emotional intelligence, around protecting and setting your boundaries. And this was the most confusing time for me, and a time period where the stress was so extreme that I began to experience a lot of autoimmune diseases. But it was because of those autoimmune diseases that I knew I needed to make some type of change, which led me to a life coach. And this life coach was able to show me the power of the mind, right? And how can you switch certain aspects of your thinking in order to get the results that you're looking for. Yeah. And so, yes, I mean, definitely, I found spirituality by dealing with the health issues, understanding the power of the mind, and just realizing that the mind is very much connected to the spirit.
Yeah. And when we're connected to ourselves, we're connected to source. It just does definitely changes things. You had mentioned before that, some of the people in our lives might say things that would preclude your clients from taking those steps forward. And I know in my work that there are people in our lives sometimes that are saying those things, thinking that it's out of love and protection for you. And it's really, they're displaying their own fears, as opposed to just saying, oh, okay, how can I help? And